Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head to Chiba Prefecture once again, and we're going to visit Kankiku Brewery Company and have a look at one of the beers from their Kujyukuri Ocean beer range. And this one is the Weizen, obviously based on the German Weizen style, and it comes in at 5%. As I've said to you a couple of times before, many of the little breweries in Japan brew German style beers, and they usually tend to be a little bit kind of mild in comparison to the German ones, just to suit the Japanese palate of course. But according to Rate Beer, this one is actually pretty good relatively. It was rated about 75 or so when I checked it out on there earlier, so it should be a pretty decent one to have a look at actually. Casey and Eric also reviewed the stout beer from these guys. You should check out their video and of course check out their channel. Two American guys who do Japanese beer reviews. Really nice guys actually. You've probably seen my collaboration reviews that I've done with them so far actually. So yeah, make sure you check them out. But as always, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my future reviews that I'll do from Kankiku Brewery. This is the very first time I'm trying one of their beers. There's all the usual social media. And if you want to see more beer reviews, do subscribe to the channel. And if you're particularly interested in Japanese beer reviews, go into the channel, simply search Japan. The whole channel is based on geography, so all of these things will pop up. And you can check out Casey and Eric's channel, Sotogami Akihabira. So yeah, make sure you do all of that. But let's have a little look at Kujyukuri Ocean beer. So as I mentioned to you, Kujyukuri Ocean beer is brewed by Kankiku Brewery, whose official name apparently is Kankiku Meijō. And Kankiku Meijō actually is a reference to the whole wider company. These guys brew sake and shochu and everything like that, or nihonshu as you would call it in Japan. But this company has been around since 1883 and they're based in Sanbu city in Chiba Prefecture, which is up near Tokyo somewhere. But apparently they're now in the 5th generation of the Kenichi family's ownership. This company, like many in Japan do, has passed down the generations of the family. But they began brewing beer in 1997 after the tax laws of course were relaxed back in 1994. You used to have to brew 2 million litres of beer per year, but then that was reduced down to 60,000 litres, which of course helped many little microbreweries pop up. But apparently this brewery sent their brewers to France, Germany and England to research the different styles of beer to bring back to Japan, and that's why many of their beers, they have a Pilsner, the Pale Ale, and they've also got this guy here, the Weizen and the Stout, so it's mainly English and German beers that they are actually brewing here. So it's quite interesting. These guys are quite widely available because they've done deals with a few of the big department stores and things, so it is quite easy to find the Kujyukuri beers across Japan in the things like the Hankyu department store and Daimaru and things like that. They are quite easy to find, so make sure you give them a go and see what you think of them. So yeah, just to list the other beers you can get from these guys then, in their main range they've got the Weizen, the Pils, the Pale Ale, the Stout, and they also have a rice beer which is meant to be good called Kujyukuri, and they do have 2 other beers that are, I think it's a Weizen and a Pilsner, that are done under different labels and they've got different names and things like that. So yeah, this one should be quite an interesting beer. As I say, Casey and Eric had a review of the Stout, so you can check that one out as well. But yeah, let's get stuck into this one and see how we get on. So I'll let you have a little look at the artwork before we open this one. There isn't too much to say about this guy other than it's a 5% Weizen. It tends to be in Japan that they don't really put the details of the beer on the brewery website. They just say about the flavour a little bit and things. They don't tell you what hops and malts they actually put in this beer, but there you can see it's I think it says Ocean Beer, yeah, Ocean Biru here in katakana, and that is Baisui, I'm not sure, Weizen. It's meant to be Weizen there, but in Japanese you don't have a W, so they always use a ba instead, so Weizen, so Baizuen. Yeah, there you can see katakana, Weizen. So yeah, that's always quite cool. Katakana is one I'm still getting used to a little bit. I know the hiragana and my katakana is okay. The kanji I still don't have a clue about. Kanji is a bit mad. So let's get this guy open and we'll get on with the tasting then. So yeah, as you can see, a nice smoky opening on this guy as we open it up. And we'll get it out and into the glass. Pouring exactly as you'd expect from a Weizen beer. I actually quite like this little beer glass. This is one that was just in Michiko's parents' house, but it's just the perfect size for beer. I'm not sure if it's actually intended for beer, but I have seen Japanese people drinking out of glasses similar to this. But as you can see, this beer's poured kind of exactly as you'd expect a normal Weizen to pour. There's a half finger of a frothy white head there, some big bubbles of carbonation sticking towards the side of the glass, but in quite a bit of it just going up towards the bottom of the head. If I put my fingers behind the beer, you can see that it's not transparent at all. It really is quite opaque in colour, but it looks very nice. So yeah, let's have a quick look at the aroma then, and we'll have a taste of this guy. That's quite interesting. The banana in this one is really quite sweet, I'd say. Apologies, I'm just recovering from a little bit of a cold. The air conditioner at night makes it quite cold, so you always wake up with a little bit of a blocked nose actually. But with this one, you can smell the sweet banana. Obviously you get this sort of doughy, bready character underneath that, but for me it's the sweetness of the banana that's really coming out. It's actually quite sharp. There's a little bit of sort of peppery and clove spice. You know, you have some floral, grassy, hoppy character as well. Maybe just a little bit of citrus that goes with that. But as your nose adjusts to it, the bready, the sweetness of the dough and the bready character starts to come out a little bit more. But for me, it's the banana. The first thing I noticed about it was the sharpness of the banana. It is actually quite sharp in that regard, and it's quite interesting. Yeah, so make sure you have a little look at the aroma of this one. This is quite interesting just because of that unique aspect to it. But it has everything you expect of the Weizen. You've got some nice bready doughy character. That comes out more as you get later into it. But then you've got the sweet banana character, a little bit of grassy and floral hop. And yeah, you get a little bit of the citrus character that goes with that. It's almost a little bubblegummy too. I've seen a lot of people describe these beers, the Weizen beers, as having a little bit of a bubblegum aroma. Maybe American bubblegum, as you always see people talking about on Rate Beer. So yeah, this one smells quite interesting. Take a little bit of time to enjoy the aroma, but we'll get stuck into this guy. So this is the Weizen from Kujyukuri Ocean Beer, part of Kankiku Brewery in Chiba Prefecture, Japan. Kanpai. Yeah, I mean, relative to the other German style beers that I've tried in Japan, this is actually one of the pretty good ones, I would say. Like a lot, Casey and Eric and I talked about this in our reviews. When it comes to Japanese food and things, Japanese food isn't so sharp in the flavours. It's all about how the things blend together. So it's a more, Japanese people I guess have a more mild palate than Europeans do. I would say European, I don't know for sure, but Europeans I think have a quite sharp palate. When I go to America and Canada, I find the food to be quite mild in flavour, but I've not been in a while, right enough. But the Japanese, if you try Japanese food, it's all about the broths and the noodles and things like that, the udon, and you'll find that it's very smooth flavours. You don't get too many sharp flavours in Japan, and when you try these German style beers that you get in Japan, they're not punchy. These are all the flavours that you expect are in there, but they're a bit toned down, and it's more about how they blend together. So you can see how these beers are actually shaped to fit the Japanese food palette. So this is quite a little interesting aspect that you should think about when you try Japanese beer. And Casey and Eric and I were talking about this in the reviews that we did together. But yeah, this one is pretty nice actually. This one I think has a little bit of earthiness or something to it. You can pick that up with this beer. Yeah, so as you would expect from the Weizen, the middle of your palate's just blanketed with this white, bready, kind of doughy, yeasty character. That goes right across the middle of your palate, and it just kind of sits there. On top of that, you've got the sweeter, doughy kind of aspect going on, and as the flavour progresses, you pick up a little bit of the clovey or slightly peppery spice coming out of this one. It's quite nice, and the banana though for me isn't too prominent. It's really the sweet banana is kind of in the aroma, but it's not in the flavour too much. Yeah, there's maybe a little bit of it. There's a little sweet point as you start to move into the aftertaste, and the beer dries out your tongue a little bit. There's maybe a little bit of banana, sort of bubblegummy character in there, but otherwise for me this is really more about the kind of sweet doughy bready character, and then the spices in there as well. There's a good little bit of hoppy dryness to this one as well actually. Around the edges of the palate you're getting the floral aspects, and around the very front curve you're getting the smooth grassiness, and in the back corners you can pick up just that little bit of earthy hoppiness that you usually get from the German noble hops. So this one is quite interesting. Like I was saying though, you can tell it's one of the Japanese kind of copies, if you like, of the German beer styles, just because the flavours aren't all that punchy in comparison to some of the German styles of beer that you'd expect. The German ones are a lot stronger than this, in my experience. But I mean, it's a nice beer, and relative to the Japanese German beers, this one is actually pretty good, and it has a good bit more flavour than some of the other ones I've tried. So I would say that about this one. And the hoppy dryness, it's good to have that little bit of hoppy character in it as well. So it maybe does have the German level of hops, but the malt base, I think, is a little bit toned down. But yeah, no, it'd be interesting to try this one on tap and see how it comes out there, see if it's a little bit sweeter, because the malt base in this one is a little bit dark and kind of grainy and things like that. But overall, you know, it's a nice enough beer. You could sit and drink a couple of these as a session beer. I always found when I went to before I went to Germany, I absolutely loved wheat beers, but then when I went there, I really discovered the Helles beer, and that was the one I would drink rather than the Weizen. I start to find the Weizens quite heavy beers to drink now. I can't really session these anymore, but this one is a pretty solid beer. There's no real doubt about that. The one thing that's different is that it's a bit lighter in the mouthfeel. It's a bit more wet. I would say this one, it's probably light to mid-bodied. You feel how wet this beer is. The carbonation is quite smooth. It does have a little bit of a prickle though. There's a good bit of hoppy dryness. There's a bit of malty sweetness too, but then the spicy character comes out and it gives you that little bit of dryness from the malt base too. There's maybe a tiny little bit of citrus, but really as you progress into the aftertaste, the beer gets a bit drier. You can feel it both in the malt side and in the hop side of things. But overall, it's a pretty solid Japanese take on the German Weizen. Would I drink it again? I would say yeah, but I would want to try some of the other beers from these guys and see how they are. Casey and Eric seemed to quite enjoy the stout, although they didn't think it smelt too nice. But they seem to quite enjoy it, so yeah, so make sure you check out this brewery. Make sure you go and check out Casey and Eric's channel as well. Let me know in the comment section below your own thoughts on this beer, and let me know your favourite ones from this brewery too. I'll see if I can review those for you at some point. But until the next time, thank you for watching. Do check out all the usual social media. Do let me know some other Japanese beers that you guys would like to see me review. So make sure you go and check out Kujyukuri Ocean beer. Make sure you check out their beers and let me know what your favourite ones are. Until the next time, Kampai. Should be a good beer, this one, so try it out.